In 2026, we know what we want. Arsenal finished the year on top after vanquishing Aston Villa. Introduction: a statement, not just a result. There are wins that collect 3 points, and then there are wins that define seasons. As the final whistle echoed around the Emirates Stadium, it was clear that Arsenal's victory over Aston Villa was not merely another chapter in a long Premier League campaign. It was a declaration, a message, a promise. In 2026, we know what we want. Those words, spoken with calm certainty inside the Arsenal camp, perfectly captured the mood of a club that has grown tired of being labeled nearly men. By defeating an in-form Aston Villa side and finishing the calendar year top of the Premier League table, Arsenal confirmed something many had suspected for months. This team is no longer learning how to compete, it is learning how to win. The context: why this game mattered so much. Aston Villa did not arrive in North London as underdogs hoping for survival. They came as genuine contenders, organized, fearless, and battle-tested under Unai Emery. Villa had already beaten elite opposition away from home, shown tactical flexibility, proven they could punish mistakes ruthlessly. For Arsenal, this fixture represented a psychological crossroads: win and finish the year top, reinforcing belief; slip and reopen familiar doubts about pressure moments. The stakes were unmistakable, and Arsenal rose. Arteta's Arsenal: control over chaos. What separated Arsenal from previous versions of themselves was not just quality, it was composure. From the opening exchanges, Arsenal did not rush. They did not chase the game emotionally. Instead, they suffocated Villa with structured possession, intelligent pressing traps, controlled aggression in midfield. Mikel Arteta has long spoken about dominating matches with the ball and without it. Against Villa, that philosophy was executed with ruthless clarity. This was not football played on impulse, this was football played with intent. Midfield authority, the engine of belief. At the heart of Arsenal's performance was a midfield that refused to yield an inch. Declan Rice anchored the team with authority, reading danger before it developed, and breaking Villa's rhythm repeatedly. His positioning allowed Arsenal to maintain balance even when Villa attempted quick transitions. Alongside him, tempo was controlled, passing lanes were protected, second balls were claimed. This was the kind of midfield performance that wins championships, not through flair, but through discipline and intelligence. Defensive maturity, calm under pressure. Villa tested Arsenal, they always do. Moments arrived when defensive concentration was required, when one lapse could have changed the story entirely, but Arsenal's backline remained composed. There was no panic, no reckless clearances, no emotional defending. Instead, there was structure. The defensive unit moved as one, stepping up together, tracking runners, closing spaces. It was the kind of performance that showed a team comfortable with expectation rather than crushed by it. Attack with purpose, not panic. Arsenal's attacking play was patient but decisive. Rather than forcing low-percentage chances, they waited for the right moments, exploiting half spaces, stretching Villa's defensive shape, and striking when balance tilted in their favor. This was not Arsenal chasing highlights, this was Arsenal chasing results. Every forward run had intention, every pass carried weight. The goal that changed everything. When the breakthrough arrived, it felt inevitable rather than explosive. The Emirates erupted not because of shock, but because of recognition. Recognition that this team had earned its moment through control and persistence. That goal did more than put Arsenal ahead. It validated their approach. It drained belief from Villa. It settled nerves across the stadium. From that moment on, Arsenal played like a team that knew the game was theirs to manage. Game management, the champion skill. Perhaps the most impressive aspect of the performance came after Arsenal took the lead. In seasons past, this is where anxiety might have crept in, not this time. Instead, Arsenal slowed the tempo intelligently, drew fouls in smart areas, retained possession under pressure, forced Villa to chase shadows. This was game management at elite level, the quiet skill that separates title contenders from title winners. Arteta's evolution on the touchline. Mikel Arteta did not overreact. He did not tinker unnecessarily. He trusted the structure. His substitutions were measured, not emotional. His instructions were clear, not frantic. This was the Arteta of experience,
a manager who has learned when to intervene and when to let his team finish the job. The growth was visible not just in the players, but in the man guiding them. Top of the table, and deserved. When the final whistle blew, Arsenal were top of the Premier League as the year closed. Not because of luck, not because rivals slipped, but because they earned it. They had controlled a difficult opponent, handled pressure, delivered when it mattered most. Being top at the end of the year does not guarantee titles, but it guarantees belief, and belief, once rooted, is dangerous. In 2026, we know what we want, more than a quote. Those words are not arrogance, they are clarity. This Arsenal side no longer speaks in hypotheticals. The ambition is no longer hidden by development phases or long-term projects. The target is clear, the path is defined, the standards are set. Arsenal are not chasing history, they are writing it. Tactical breakdown, how Arsenal outthought and outplayed Villa. Aston Villa arrived at the Emirates with a clear plan. Under Unai Emery, they are one of the most tactically sophisticated sides in the league, compact out of possession, aggressive in transition, and brave enough to play a high defensive line when pressing triggers are met. Arsenal were ready. Shape and structure. On paper, Arsenal's system looked familiar. In reality, it was subtly adjusted to neutralize Villa's strengths. Build-up shape, a flexible 3-2 base in possession. Midfield staggering, one holding presence, one progressive controller. Fullbacks, inverted selectively, not constantly. Wingers, high and wide early, inverted later. This flexibility ensured Arsenal always had a numerical advantage in midfield, protection against Villa's counterattacks, width to stretch Villa's defensive block. Villa's tests rely on forcing rushed passes into central traps. Arsenal refused to fall into them. Breaking Villa's midfield press. Rather than forcing vertical passes early, Arsenal circulated possession patiently, pulling Villa's midfield line sideways before striking through the gaps. Key tactical details. Third man runs to bypass pressure, delayed progression to draw Villa out, quick switches once Villa committed numbers. The result? Villa spent long periods chasing without ever truly controlling Arsenal's rhythm. Defensive strategy, controlling Villa's most dangerous weapon. Villa's biggest threat is transition football. Arsenal shut it down at the source. Immediate counterpress after losing the ball. Midfielders positioned to block central lanes. Center-backs holding disciplined lines rather than chasing. Arsenal allowed Villa possession in safe zones, wide and deep, but suffocated them in the middle third. This was not passive defending. It was calculated restraint. Individual player ratings, Arsenal. Goalkeeper. David Raya, 7.5 out of 10. Calm distribution, strong positioning, and decisive when called upon. Not overly busy, but did everything required by a top-level goalkeeper under pressure. Defenders. Right back, 7 out of 10. Balanced defensive responsibility with selective forward movement, rarely overcommitted and stayed alert against counterattacks. Center back, 8 out of 10. Dominate in duels, composed in possession, and tactically intelligent. Won key aerial battles and stepped out at the right moments. Center back, 8.5 out of 10. Leader of the back. Organized the defensive line impeccably and read danger before it developed. A performance built on authority rather than flash. Left back, 7.5 out of 10. Positionally excellent, tucked inside when needed and provided width when the moment was right. Intelligent rather than explosive. Midfield. Declan Rice, 9 out of 10. Man of the match. A masterclass in control. Broke up play, shielded the defense, progressed the ball under pressure, and dictated tempo. This was elite midfield leadership. Central midfielder, 8 out of 10. Controlled rhythm, recycled possession efficiently, and ensured Arsenal never lost midfield balance. Quietly essential. Advanced midfielder, 7.5 out of 10. Creative without forcing play, linked lines effectively, and made Villa's defensive midfield uncomfortable all evening. Attack. Right winger, 8 out of 10. Direct, disciplined, and decisive. Stretched Villa's shape and contributed both creatively and defensively. Center forward, 7.5 out of 10. Worked relentlessly, held up play, brought others into the game, and pressed Villa's center backs intelligently. Left winger, 8 out of 10. Threatened constantly, intelligent movement off the ball, and decisive in key attacking moments. Substitutes, 7 out of 10. Came on with maturity, helped manage the game rather than chase unnecessary goals. Why this win feels different from past seasons. Arsenal have beaten good teams before. They have topped the table before, but this felt different. Emotional control. There was no desperation, no visible anxiety, no frantic moments when Villa threatened. Previous Arsenal sides often felt pressure. This team absorbed it. Tactical discipline. Arsenal did not abandon their structure chasing dominance. They trusted it, even when Villa attempted to disrupt rhythm. That trust comes from experience. Leadership across the pitch. Leadership was not confined to one player. It was collective. From goalkeeper to striker, decision-making was calm and intelligent. This was not a young team hoping things would work out. This was a mature team expecting them to. How rivals are reacting. Across the league, this result did not go unnoticed. Manchester City. There is respect and caution. City knows that Arsenal are no longer a project. They are a threat that understands the demands of a title race. Liverpool. Arsenal's control and consistency have raised eyebrows. The message is clear. Arsenal will not fade quietly this time. Tottenham, Chelsea, and others. The gap feels real. Arsenal are not chasing them. They are pulling away from the chasing pack. The psychological impact of finishing the year top cannot be overstated. Title race implications heading into 2026. Being top at the end of the year is symbolic, but also strategic. Advantages Arsenal now hold: momentum, belief, tactical identity, squad depth awareness, psychological edge. More importantly, Arsenal now know how to win tight games, the kind that decide championships. What still lies ahead? Challenges remain: injuries, fixture congestion, direct clashes with rivals. But Arsenal enter 2026 not chasing validation, but chasing fulfillment. They know what is required, they know the standard, and they know what they want. Closing thought: a team that has found its voice. This victory over Aston Villa was not loud, it was not chaotic, it was authoritative, and that is what makes it dangerous. Arsenal are no longer asking whether they